negative beliefs often take root in the narratives we tell ourselves. These narratives are deeply ingrained stories that we replay over and over in our minds, stories that influence how we view ourselves, our potential, and the world around us. A destructive narrative may sound like, I'm not good enough, I'll never succeed, or I'm always failing. These thoughts are often the product of early life experiences, cultural influences, or even traumatic events that shaped how we perceive ourselves. But the most dangerous aspect of these narratives is that, once accepted, they begin to define our reality. You believe that you are not capable, that you are inherently flawed, or that failure is inevitable. This mindset traps you in a cycle of inaction and despair. The brain's natural tendency is to look for evidence that confirms these beliefs, even when they are not true. If you tell yourself, I am a failure, you will subconsciously begin to notice every small mistake and miss every opportunity for growth, reinforcing the narrative that you are indeed a failure. This self-reinforcing cycle limits your capacity to change, and before long, you start to believe that your potential is predetermined, that your flaws are permanent. But here's the key. You are not doomed to live out these limiting stories. The process of dismantling negative beliefs requires replacing them with empowering narratives, stories that challenge the self-imposed limitations and instead open the door to possibility. Empowering narratives are stories of growth, transformation, and potential. These are the narratives that help you rise above adversity, face challenges with resilience, and understand that you are not defined by past mistakes or failures. Creating an empowering narrative begins with acknowledging your strengths, even when they seem small. Instead of focusing on your failures, shift your focus to your successes. No matter how minor they may appear, consider the times you've overcome obstacles in the past, or the moments when you've been brave, even when you felt afraid. These examples, however small, are evidence of your ability to succeed. By consciously choosing to focus on these moments, you start to shift the narrative from one of failure to one of capability and perseverance. Another crucial step is redefining failure itself. Empowering narratives do not view failure as a permanent state or a reflection of one's worth. Instead, they see failure as a temporary setback, an opportunity for growth, and a necessary part of the learning process. If you take action with the belief that failure is a teacher, not a verdict, you will begin to approach life with greater curiosity, bravery, perseverance. Rather than shrinking away from challenges, you will seek them out, knowing that failure is not a reflection of your inability, but a natural part of the journey toward mastery. An empowering narrative also involves embracing the idea of continuous improvement, rather than believing that you must be perfect or that you have already reached the limits of your potential. You adopt the mindset that growth is ongoing. You are not fixed in a particular place. You are always evolving, learning, and adapting. By adopting this mindset, you free yourself from the paralyzing belief that you must already be perfect, and instead you open the door to possibility. You understand that your value does not come from the absence of flaws, but from your willingness to improve. Ultimately, the process of replacing destructive narratives with empowering ones is a choice. It's a choice to redefine who you are and what you are capable of. It's a choice to look at the world and your own potential through a different lens. You are not stuck with the story that was written for you. You have the power to rewrite your own story, one that reflects your true potential, your capacity for growth, and your inherent worth. And by doing so, you set yourself on a path towards self-empowerment, resilience, and a life filled with purpose and possibility. When you are entrenched in negative beliefs about yourself, whether they involve feelings of inadequacy, failure, or worthlessness, it's all too easy to fall into a pattern of avoidance. You might feel trapped by these beliefs, thinking that they are an undeniable part of who you are. But here's the crux of the matter. These beliefs aren't fixed, and they don't have to control your actions. In fact, the key to overcoming them often lies in acting in direct opposition to them. At the core of negative beliefs lies fear. If you believe you are incapable, you're most likely afraid to take risks because you expect to fail. But you cannot let that fear dictate your behavior. It's not enough to sit around and hope these beliefs will disappear. You have to take action. The simple fact is that action precedes belief. Your beliefs are formed and solidified through repeated experiences, so it only makes sense that to shift those beliefs, you need to change your experience. Let's take the example of someone who believes they are not capable of achieving their goals. If they constantly avoid trying, staying safe, and sticking to what they know, they'll never see the proof that they can succeed. The belief will remain in place unchallenged. But if they step out, despite feeling unsure, and take small actions that are consistent with their goals, the belief will start to crack. Every small success, even if it feels insignificant at first, begins to challenge the core assumption that they are incapable. The more they act, the more they prove to themselves that they can achieve and make progress. This is why it's so important to take even the smallest step. If you believe you are incapable of public speaking, for example, you might avoid situations that require you to speak in front of others. But this avoidance only reinforces your belief. Instead, the more you put yourself in these situations, even if you're nervous or uncomfortable, the more you train your brain to reframe your belief. After speaking at a small meeting or giving a short presentation, you'll start to gather evidence to the contrary, that you can indeed handle it, that your abilities are growing, and that you are not as powerless as you once believed. And it's not about taking huge leaps all at once. It's about consistent, incremental actions that contradict the negative beliefs. Over time, these actions start to accumulate and chip away at the self-doubt and insecurity that have taken root. With each step, you reinforce the idea that your capabilities are far greater than your limiting beliefs would have you think. Remember that beliefs are not the root of change. Actions are. By taking steps that defy your negative beliefs, you begin to rewrite the narrative of your life. The power lies in doing. You must act as if you are the person you want to become. The more you engage in the process of self-affirming actions, the more your beliefs will align with the new, empowered self you're creating. It can be uncomfortable. It can feel like stepping into the unknown, where your confidence is tested and your fears are exposed. But this discomfort is a signal of growth. It's the moment where you prove to yourself that the beliefs you once held as truths are not as powerful as your ability to act. The more you act, the more you transform yourself, until one day you realize that the negative beliefs you once held no longer have any real hold over you. The environment you surround yourself with plays a monumental role in shaping your beliefs and behaviors. The people, the ideas, the media you consume, these all contribute to the lens through which you view yourself in the world. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, doubt, and fear, it is incredibly difficult to break free from the negative beliefs that have taken root in your mind. It's a simple yet powerful truth. Your environment reinforces your thoughts. In order to destroy your negative beliefs, you must take a conscious effort to expose yourself to truth and growth. Truth in this context isn't just about facts or data. It's about understanding reality in a deeper, more meaningful way. The truth will challenge you, force you to confront uncomfortable aspects of yourself, and provide the foundation for reshaping your belief systems. This is not an easy task. The truth often makes us uncomfortable because it disrupts the stories we've been telling ourselves. Stories that may have kept us safe, but also kept us small. Yet, it's only by confronting truth head on that we can truly dismantle the false narratives that trap us. When you surround yourself with truth, you are actively engaging in a process of self-awareness. You stop accepting easy answers or convenient excuses. Instead, you question everything, from the ideas you've internalized to the assumptions you've made about yourself. If, for instance, you've always believed that you're not good enough, the truth challenges you to seek out evidence to the contrary. It forces you to see that your belief is not rooted in any inherent deficiency, but is based on past experiences that you can reinterpret or even redefine. But truth alone is not enough. You must also surround yourself with growth. Growth is a dynamic process. It is about constantly pushing your boundaries, expanding your understanding of the world, and confronting the parts of yourself that are holding you back. It's not enough to simply break free from your negative beliefs. You must replace them with positive, empowering ones, and that requires consistent continuous growth. Growth happens when you challenge yourself, step into the unknown, and take risks that push you beyond the limits of your comfort zone. It's about looking for opportunities to learn, to improve, and to become more than what you were yesterday. Surrounding yourself with growth involves seeking out environments, people, books, experiences that promote your personal development. This can mean anything from surrounding yourself with mentors who inspire and challenge you, to intentionally choosing educational resources that open up new perspectives. It's about filling your life with experiences that stretch your thinking and force you to evolve. When you immerse yourself in environments that encourage growth, you begin to see the world as a place full of opportunities rather than obstacles. You begin to see that your negative beliefs are not only false, but irrelevant in the face of all that you are capable of learning and achieving. This shift in perspective doesn't happen overnight, but over time it becomes a foundational element in changing your mindset and, by extension, your life. So, if you want to destroy your negative beliefs, be mindful of your environment, seek out truth, and seek out growth. Make it a priority to immerse yourself in spaces that challenge you to think critically and evolve. This is the environment that will not only help you dismantle your negative beliefs, but will propel you toward becoming the best version of yourself. Conflict is an inevitable part of life, whether it manifests in personal relationships, professional environments, or within society at large. Disagreements and clashes of interest are unavoidable. Many people view conflict as a negative force, something to be avoided at all costs. They see it as a source of stress, division, and discomfort. But this perspective is limited. Conflict, when approached properly, is one of the most valuable tools for growth, learning, and personal development. If you refuse to engage with conflict, you deny yourself the opportunity to refine your ideas, strengthen your character, and develop resilience. The first thing to understand is that conflict is not necessarily destructive. It can be, of course, if handled poorly. If emotions override rational discussion, if pride prevents compromise, or if aggression takes precedence over understanding, then conflict can certainly lead to unnecessary suffering. But conflict is also a means through which truth is revealed. It exposes weaknesses in your arguments, gaps in your knowledge, and flaws in your approach. If you are unwilling to engage in conflict, it may be because you are afraid of discovering that your beliefs or actions are inadequate. But avoiding that realization does not make you stronger, it makes you fragile. Fragile, feeling dimmed by comparison, not dimmed by conscious contrast. You're like Tim Cookie in the tank of vegetarian food. Consider the way intellectual progress is made. The greatest ideas in history did not emerge in a vacuum. They were tested against opposition, refined through debate, and strengthened by challenge. If an idea cannot withstand criticism, then it is not a strong idea to begin with. The same principle applies to individuals. If you are unwilling to face opposition, if you retreat the moment you are challenged, then you remain stagnant. You do not grow because you do not allow yourself to be tested. On a personal level, conflict serves as a mirror, reflecting back the parts of yourself that need improvement. When you argue with someone, it forces you to articulate your thoughts more clearly. When someone criticizes you, it reveals aspects of yourself that you may have overlooked. This is not easy to accept. It is far more comfortable to dismiss criticism, to assume that those who challenge you are simply wrong. But that attitude prevents self-improvement. If you are willing to engage with conflict, to examine opposing viewpoints honestly, you gain something invaluable: self-awarenessness. So stay optimistic. This does not mean that every conflict is worth engaging in. Some conflicts are unproductive, driven by ego rather than truth-seeking. Learning from conflict requires discernment, the ability to recognize when a challenge is constructive and when it is simply noise. But even in unproductive conflicts, there is something to learn. If nothing else, they teach patience, emotional control, and the ability to remain composed under pressure. Growth does not come from comfort. It comes from friction, from challenge, from opposition. If you treat conflict as an opportunity rather than a threat, you transform it from something to be feared into something to be valued. You become stronger, wiser, and more capable. And that is precisely why learning from conflict is not just important, it is necessary. A fulfilling and successful life is not the result of fleeting pleasures or momentary victories. It is built through discipline and the pursuit of meaning. Many people chase happiness, believing it to be the ultimate goal. But happiness is unreliable. It comes and goes, often dependent on external circumstances beyond your control. Meaning, however, is deeper. It provides stability, direction, and resilience in the face of hardship. Without meaning, life becomes chaotic and empty. And without discipline, even the most meaningful goals remain unattainable. Discipline is what allows you to act in accordance with your values rather than your impulses. It is easy to do what is comfortable, to give in to distraction, to avoid responsibility. But the path of least resistance leads nowhere worth going. The most accomplished individuals, whether in art, science, business, or personal growth, are those who structure their lives around consistent effort, even when it is difficult. Discipline is what transforms potential into achievement. The connection between meaning and discipline is crucial. If you attempt to impose discipline on yourself without a meaningful goal, it will feel like an oppressive burden. But when discipline is directed towards something significant, it becomes a source of strength. A person who finds meaning in their work, relationships, or creative pursuits will endure hardship because they understand that struggle is part of the process. They do not give up when things become difficult because they are aiming at something higher than momentary comfort. Triumph does not come from avoiding suffering. It comes from enduring it for a purpose greater than yourself. If you have meaning, you can bear almost any pain. If you have discipline, you can turn that meaning into reality. This is the foundation of true success, and it is the only path to a life that is both productive and fulfilling. You said, a meaningful life is not built on comfort, indulgence, or the avoidance of struggle. It is built on work, sacrifice, and the pursuit of something greater than oneself. Yet, many people with ambition remain stagnant because they refuse to embrace the necessary cost of achieving their goals. They desire success but shrink away from the effort required to obtain it. They want the rewards without the sacrifice, the accomplishment without the discipline, and the growth without the struggle. But reality does not work that way. Everything worthwhile comes with a price, and that price is effort, persistence, and often suffering. People often view work as a burden, as something to be avoided whenever possible. But this perspective is deeply flawed. Work is not just a means to an end, it is a fundamental aspect of human fulfillment. A person who does not work towards something meaningful eventually feels lost, aimless, and dissatisfied. This is why so many people, despite having the luxuries of modern life, feel empty inside. They have everything they need for physical comfort, yet they lack the deep sense of purpose that comes from striving toward a worthy goal. Sacrifice is another critical element that many people fail to accept. To achieve anything significant, you must give up something in return. If you want to build a successful career, you must sacrifice time that could be spent on entertainment. If you want to be physically strong, you must sacrifice comfort and endure pain in training. If you want deep and meaningful relationships, you must sacrifice selfishness and invest effort in others. The problem is that most people are unwilling to make these sacrifices, yet they still expect results. They want to be fit but refuse to exercise. They want wealth but refuse to develop discipline. They want meaningful relationships but refuse to put in the effort to nurture them. This is the root of their frustration. They desire the rewards but are unwilling to pay the price. There is no escaping this truth. Anything of value requires sacrifice. The people who understand this and act accordingly are the ones who succeed. They do not complain about the difficulty of the journey because they know that difficulty is part of the process. They do not waste time wishing things were easier because they understand that the struggle is what makes the achievement meaningful. This does not mean that the path will be easy. There will be failures, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But those who persist despite these challenges are the ones who grow stronger. Every obstacle overcome is a lesson learned. Every hardship endured builds resilience. This is how true competence is developed, not by avoiding pain, but by facing it head on and learning from it. And if you are ambitious but lazy, the problem is not your potential, it is your unwillingness to embrace work and sacrifice. But the good news is that this can change. The moment you shift your mindset and accept that hard work is not an enemy but a necessity, everything in your life will begin to transform. Choose to embrace the struggle, and you will find that it leads not just to success, but to a life filled with meaning and purpose. He said, laziness is rarely just about a lack of willpower. More often, it is rooted in a deeper psychological battle, one that involves fear, self-doubt, and a flawed mindset about effort and success. People who struggle with laziness often believe they are incapable, that their efforts won't matter, or that they will fail if they try. This underlying belief system keeps them stuck in inaction, reinforcing the very problems they wish to escape. One of the biggest psychological barriers to action is fear of failure. Many people do not take the first step because they are afraid of making mistakes, of being judged, or of discovering that they are not as talented or capable as they hoped. This fear paralyzes them, leading to procrastination, excuses, and avoidance. But the reality is that failure is not an indicator of incompetence. It is the process of learning itself. Every person who has ever succeeded at anything has failed repeatedly. The difference is that successful people do not see failure as an endpoint. They see it as information, as feedback that helps them improve. Another mental trap that fuels laziness is perfectionism. Many people tell themselves that if they can't do something perfectly, they shouldn't do it at all. This is a self-destructive mindset because perfection is an illusion. Waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect conditions is just a sophisticated form of procrastination. No one starts as an expert. Every master was once a beginner. The only way to develop competence is to embrace imperfection and take action despite it. Another major cause of inaction is the habit of instant gratification. Modern technology has made it easier than ever to escape discomfort. When faced with a difficult task, people have endless distractions at their fingertips: social media, video games, streaming services, and mindless scrolling. These activities provide temporary pleasure, but they come at a cost. Every time a person chooses immediate gratification over long-term growth, they reinforce the habit of avoidance. Over time, this weakens their ability to focus, work hard, and tolerate discomfort, all of which are necessary for meaningful success. The solution to breaking free from laziness is to restructure the way you think about effort and reward. Instead of seeing effort as something to be avoided, you must see it as the very thing that gives life meaning. Hard work and struggle are not punishments. They are the necessary ingredients for confidence, mastery, and fulfillment. The most satisfied people in life are not those who avoid responsibility. They are the ones who take on meaningful challenges and push through difficulties. The key to changing your mindset is taking small, deliberate actions that prove to yourself that you are capable. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to start. Do one thing today that moves you forward. Face discomfort instead of avoiding it. Push past the resistance, even if it's only for a few minutes. Over time, these small victories add up, rewiring your brain to embrace discipline over laziness, courage over fear, and action over stagnation. He said,